Okay, in this video tutorial, I will discuss about some of the basic security overview of chapter 1. Okay. If students have not watched my student orientation and how to navigate the course from the previous videos, please do so as soon as possible. Okay. This is the third video, especially in week 1. Okay. All right. So, what is security? Security is the degree of protection against the danger, damage, loss, and criminal activities. Okay. Some of the challenges nowadays is sophisticated attack. Okay. People can use many different tools to attack any one website, or they can run a script. Okay. Some of the most common Some of the most common program that people usually use is called here. Let me see if I can do this one. It's called Kali Linux. I think many of you have known this program. Kali Linux, this is one of the most popular penetration testing that a lot of IT professional use. The other one is probably Nmap, Nmap, okay, Nmap. This is called port scanner. This is also quite popular. Okay. And the other one that you want to be aware is called distributed denial of service attack. You see this? These are the DDoS. Okay. Low orbit ion cannon. Okay. Zoic. This is a DDoS, layer 7 DDoS simulator. Okay. So make sure that when I show you some of these tools, when students use it in the real environment, you are at your own risk. So I would suggest that if you want to use some of these tools and do some testing, create an isolated networks or sandbox, and then you can practice their attack and defense. Okay, so you create 2 or 3 more computers in a network with the same subnet or different subnet, and use one of this program to attack the other IP address or the other computers. Okay, so these are some of the most challenges: sophisticated attack, proliferation of attack, and attack scales and velocity. Okay, perhaps the most commonly attack that people use is DDoS, when they use different computer from all over the world and suddenly visit the website and overwhelm the system and the network. So when the system or network get overwhelmed, they may not be able to handle the incoming traffic properly. Okay? All right. Some of the most commonly terms. Okay. As a security professional or IT manager, you should know some of this basic concept about security. The first thing that I want to discuss is called confidentiality. Okay, confidentiality is to ensure that the data is not disclosed to unintended person. This is provided through encryption that convert the data into a form that make it less likely to be usable. Okay, some of the example of the popular encryption is called AES. Okay, advanced. Let me see what's the AES stand for here. Advanced encryption standard. Okay, this one of the most popular one. The other one is called here. Let me see. The other one is called DES, right? DES. What is DES? DES is a data encryption standard. Okay, and there is another one which is the improvement from DES, is called 3DES. Okay, 3DES. So these are some of the most popular encryption that user may have to use. For example, AES Advanced Encryption Standard use keys of 128, 192, and 2 or 256 bits. Okay, although 128 bits of encryption key nowadays are quite sufficient. Okay, All right. The dash or the triple dash, that is called a data encryption standard. Okay. The key size is kind of too short for the regular dash, which is 56 or 64 bits. But the 3 dash is a little bit better. So it's better to use 3 dash than the regular dash. Okay. All right. The availability. The next item of the term. The next thing that I want to discuss is called integrity. What is integrity? Integrity is to ensure that the data is not modified or tampered with. Let's say that you send a contract. Let's say that a real estate agent want to ask the customer to sign a contract. So make sure that the document is not tampered. How do we ensure that hackers will not tamper the document? We need to use uh, hash value. Okay, let me mention to you. The hash value is usually is MD5 or SHA. Okay, these are the most popular one. MD5 or SHA 256. Okay, so the original document that have a hash value will be compared with the one that the customer or user downloaded. If they are the same hash, that means the document has not been tampered. Okay. The other thing is called availability. What is availability is to ensure that the uptime of the system, so the data is available when needed. For example, nowadays many organizations move into the cloud. The question is, what happens if the internet is down? Will they be able, will they still be able to access the documents or paperwork that they needed? Okay, so that needs to be considered. So before organization move to the cloud, they have to consider many different things. What are the pros and the cons? The last thing that I want to mention is called non-repudiation, right? What is non-repudiation? Non-repudiation is provide the validation of a message of origin. For example, if a user sent a digitally signed email, they cannot claim later that the email was not sent. Okay, to make sure that, oh, you say, I have never received the email. With the digital signature, the receiver will open the document using the public key of the sender. So that means when the recipient open the document using the public key, the sender, and match with the private key of the sender, the recipient cannot claim that I never received this. Okay. We will talk about some of this concept later in a later chapter. But for the meantime, these are some of the concepts that you need to know. It's called CIA triad, right? Confidentiality, integrity, availability, and non-repudiation. Okay. Okay, some of the security component. Okay, you also, as an IT professional, you also need to know some of the component about security. One of them is called physical security. Physical security is include all the hardware and software necessary to secure the data, such as firewall, antivirus, and anti-malware. If a company implement voice over IP, like voice over IP, they also need to consider how to secure their voice communication to make sure that the conversation is not tampered or listened by other people. So one of the way to do that is you need to use the device called session border controller. Okay. So in addition to have a firewall, they also need to buy or purchase a device called session border controller. Let me give you an example here. Sangoma SBC. Okay, let's say that the company use voice over IP using free PBX. Okay, normally they have to purchase this. They have to purchase the session border controller so that the hacker will not be able to detect that. Here we go. This is called the SBC. Okay, this is the session border controller. This is kind of additional layer to protect against hackers for the voice communication. Okay, so that is physical security. User and administrator. This is one. User and administrator are also important because this is basically the people that use the software or the hardware, and people that use the software and the people who manage the software. Okay, so normally here at the college, every year we need to go through a training like a user training or a faculty and staff training to ensure that we as a faculty follow some of the procedures and policy that's set up by the college. Okay? For example, I cannot download like illegal music, for example, or I cannot download illegal movie at the college. Okay, so we have to train the user. Some of the user may not know that when they receive suspicious email, they open right away. Also, this is can create a problem because some of the email, like phishing email, they may contain a virus or malware. So we need to provide this kind of training. We really cannot assume that they know what to do already because not all the users are computer literate and technology literate. That means we have to train the user, okay, and that has to be done on regular basis. So first we have physical security, and second we train the user or administrator, and the third one is to create a policy. Policy is a rules that the organization implement to protect information. For example, here at the college we have to sign a paper called acceptable use of policy at South Texas College. Let me show it to you what it means. Okay, here we go. It's located here in the ISP. It's under ISP division. So we have to read this document every year. So before we sign a contract, I don't know if many of you knows that are aware that as a faculty, the way that we employ with the college is we have to renew the contract every year. So here, before we sign a contract, we also need to read this and sign this document that we have to follow some of the policy and procedure that's set up by the college. Okay, some of this document is subject to change. Okay, of course they will notify us if there is some changes. All right, so these are some of the components. Make sure you are aware, make sure that you understand some of the security terms, okay, and also some of the security components, okay, that we discussed, and risk management. What is risk management? Risk management is basically the process of identifying security issues and deciding which countermeasure to take to reduce the risk to an acceptable level. Okay, the main objective is to reduce the risk for an organization to a level that deemed acceptable by the senior management. Okay, for example, uh, since we live in the hurricane zones areas, okay, what we need to do in case we get hit by the hurricane? One of the steps that our college do is we put the blackboard in the cloud. 5-10 years ago, when I joined the college, we manage and administer the blackboard, which is for a distant education server and network. About 3 or 4 years ago, we just moved that blackboard to the cloud, so we outsource them. That is one way that the college do a risk management to minimize the risk in case that we have a bad weather like a hurricane get hit. Some student, not some student, all of the student can still access to the college resources, although it is not a fully 100% like normal operation, but at least student can still communicate with the faculty and staff and the administration. Okay, so that's one of the risk management. Another thing is email. Okay. At the current time, we still administer and manage our faculty and staff email. But for the student, we already outsourced that to Microsoft. Okay, so these are some of the strategy how to do risk management. We will talk about this in the later chapters. Okay. Uh, all right. Here on the paper, on the handout here, they talk about asset, right? Make sure you know what is asset. Asset basically something that has value to the person or organization. For example, your transcript, student transcript is an asset. How about threat? What is a threat? Threat is something that can cause harm. For example, what is a threat? Viruses, malware, worm. So how we countermeasure that? We need to have a enterprise antivirus program, and we need to have a firewall to make sure hackers do not get into our systems. Okay. Vulnerabilities. What is vulnerability? Vulnerabilities is the weaknesses that allows the threat to be carried out. For example, in some organization, they disable the USB port, so employee cannot take the data home. Again, there is always a way to circumvent that. For example, they can just send email and then sell the data to other company, But vulnerability is basically is a weaknesses if we are not protected. Okay, there are some good tools. There are some good vulnerability tools that we have in the market. For example, is Nessus. I don't know if you heard about Nessus. Nessus is some of the most popular vulnerability scanner. So perhaps if you have time, maybe you can browse around. Okay, get some, explore more, and what can you do with this vulnerability program or tools analysis. Okay, normally, for example, banks, hospital, right? Bank, hospital, and many financial institutions, they all need to do at least once a year about vulnerability assessment to ensure that the customer data or the consumer data are well protected. Okay, exploit. Exploit is a procedure or products that take advantage of the vulnerabilities. When students learn the second class after this one, you will use this program called Kali Linux. Okay, this is one of the most penetration testing. So after you finish this fundamental course, you will move to the next one and learn this program a little bit more in details. What else here that I want to cover? The threat. Some of the threat agent is employees, or employee spies, right? Or corporate espionage. There's some of them, hackers, right? So these are some of the most common of threats. Okay. All right. I hope that this video is informative to you, and please print this document. And this document, by the way, is located in the testout.com. Okay, so I would suggest that the student purchase the material as soon as possible. Again, if you have any question, please give me a call or send me email, and I will contact you as soon as possible. Thank you.